Well, good evening. This is Rudy Giuliani. I was listening to a little Bocelli before you interrupted me. This is America's Mayor Live. Bocelli is probably my favorite popular singer, and Pavarotti was my favorite opera singer. This is probably one of his very best songs. I'll play it in the background just a bit. Vivere. What a magnificent voice, and also great sense of a great sense of how to put a song over, how to pronounce every word. The musical background is fabulous. The use of his wonderful tenor voice. This is really quite beautiful. Well, unfortunately, the rest of what we have to talk about isn't as beautiful. And it begins with maybe, I would say, the worst scandal, certainly electoral scandal in American history. And I'm not talking about the one that history will prove, which is the stealing of the election at the ballot box, or with the or with the phony mail-in ballots. That's yet to be proven, not to me, but to the rest of you. Just like this was proven to me 4 years ago, and I just waited. What the Biden regime and the Democratic Party did with regard to the hard drive of Hunter Biden and the letter, the absolutely false, lying letter written by former intelligence officials, mostly of the Obama administration, some of them of the Bush administration, but we sure would put them in the category of rhinos. I might get it closer to traitors. I don't know what you call that. Well, first, let's get the facts, right? These 51 people held some of the highest positions in our government. They are responsible for some of the biggest mistakes in American intelligence history. Several of them are singularly responsible for the death of Americans because of, at a minimum, their incompetence. I don't know what else you would say about Brennan. I mean, there's plenty I'd like to say, but that would be for another time. But he's certainly incompetent, disgraceful. So these people wrote a letter to the press. It took 3 days to prepare this letter or less. They never looked at the hard drive. They never asked a single question. They never examined anything. They were told to write it by Anthony Blinken and then by Mike Morrell, who previously had a relatively decent reputation. He has no reputation now. The man is a disgrace to his country. To write a false letter to affect an American presidential election when you've held that kind of position in government and you know the effect that it may have on the election is, I don't know if it's a crime. It may be worse than a crime. It sure means that you're not a man of honor and should never be thought of in American history that way. These 51 people are scoundrels. They're anti-American scoundrels who wrote a letter saying that this hard drive had the earmarks of Russian disinformation. Now, they like to say, because they are and have been, I guess, throughout their careers, dishonorable, sneaky, slimy liars, that they really didn't say it was Russian disinformation. They said it had the earmarks of Russian information. Now, of course, I've cross-examined lots of people. I've dealt with maybe some of the worst people in the world, actually, if you think about it, Nazis, terrorists. mass killers, mafia figures, terrorists, and American politicians. When they say, well, we didn't say it was Russian disinformation. We said it had the earmarks of Russian disinformation. What's the difference? None. And you know, it's worse, actually, because I'll tell you the giveaway, and I knew they were lying the moment they did it. Of course, I knew exactly where it came from. It came from John Paul MacIsaacs, who you saw on this show 3 nights ago. Did it look Russian to you? Not only did they know they were lying, most of them were, involved for a long time in this conspiracy to remove Trump from office. No one is making the point because there's still this cover up for these scoundrels and scumbags, and at this point, they already knew about the Russian hoax. They knew that the Russian collusion was a hoax. So how would they just buy this Russian earmarks thing whole cloth? I mean, here's what happens, right? The hard drive comes out with the New York Post. I gave it to them. Very proud of that. I'm proud of myself for being a good American, for revealing one of the worst scandals in American political history. I believe I'm going to have a pretty damn good place in history. They've been trying to destroy me. All they've been doing is proving me right time after time after time after time. And not because I'm terribly smart. I am pretty smart. Not because I'm terribly smart, because I'm honest. They're not. They're not just dishonest, they're scumbags. I can use that word on this internet thing, I hope. And if not, well, somebody will take it out and maybe you'll get the beginning of its scum part. I call them much worse than that. I really do think they should all go to jail. And I think all their honor, government honor, should be taken away from them, their pension. What they did, even before they got to stealing the election at the ballot box, what they did was stole the election before we got to the ballot box. There's no doubt from the polls taken, even back then, before people knew the details of this, I think the original one was 10% would have voted differently. Now it's closer to 20. It would have been a wipeout for Trump. And the American people were kind of there anyway. How does Biden win this election when he shows up in Pennsylvania and, he's lucky to get 200 people? Trump shows up in a town with a population of 40,000 and gets 60. I mean, you got to be a fool to buy their crap. You got to be a fool to buy that. So let's follow the quick scenario here. So I get the hard drive in my possession probably about 5 days, maybe 6, before the New York Post published it. I had known about it about a week before. They knew, I didn't know this, but they knew probably that Bob Costello and I were getting it from John MacIsaacs because they were up on my iCloud account for a year and a half from the day I began representing Trump without telling me. So they were spying on me as Trump's lawyer. Can you get much more disgraceful than that? There is a Sixth Amendment to the Constitution that gives everyone but Donald Trump the right to counsel. And they were up on a lot of other people too. So could they have gotten it from Steve Bannon? Could be. Could they have gotten it from me? Probably. Most people think, like Miranda Devine, that they did. And that's why they went and warned the crooks, the miserable oligarchs and crooks that run our social media, like Zuckerberg. That's why they went and warned him that something was coming out on that misinformation was coming out on Hunter Biden. Now, misinformation, they knew better than I did that it wasn't misinformation because they had the darn thing for almost a year. They knew it was Hunter Biden's laptop. All during the time it was being attacked as Russian disinformation, the FBI categorically knew that it wasn't. They never corrected it. They let the American people go to the polls having been deliberately deceived, lied to by a bunch of their pals, lying scumbags like the heads of the FBI.
Mayor, what went through your head when then candidate Joe Biden is up on the debate stage, and we have the video if you want to show it.
We'll play that in a bit. This is actually a little bit before he was on the debate stage.
Okay.
This is the first.
Sorry, I'm getting ahead of the.
You're getting ahead of it, but it happens very quickly, which is why they never check it out. It comes out within 3 days. The letter is published, which means you can have done no investigation. All of these people get serious leaks, illegal criminal leaks from the FBI, no doubt about it, because they're all on the FBI's side, which is not America's side. And so they all knew the FBI. This was solid as, this was solid deadly. The FBI, all you have to do is take a quick look at it, as John Paul MacIsaacs told you the other night, 15 minutes with the hard drive, and you'll be convinced, I don't care, even if you love Joe Biden, that he should be in a jail cell. And 15 minutes with it, you'd be convinced that Hunter Biden should not be allowed to be near children. And then also in a jail cell, or maybe a hospital. Could be, he might have to be in a hospital. I don't know. There's something very abnormal about his conduct over the years, which is displayed in hundreds and hundreds of pictures. And a number of them involving a number of them, which would be on the borderline of child pornography, involving 13 and 14-year-olds, and one and possibly two, which is straight out child porn, which doesn't seem to bother these scumbags because the FBI knew it. In fact, when the FBI sent the agent to John Paul MacIsaacs' store in Delaware, which was the second time they had contact with him, they sent someone from their child pornography unit. So they knew what I know and what you have not been allowed to know. And you elected, this family that has a strain of perversion in it, and much more a strain of crookedness. I mean, the family is as crooked as a mafia family. And so think about how what liars they are. So Blinken, who is desperate to be Secretary of State because he probably couldn't hold a job in any place legitimately, so kind of I don't know if he's stupid or I don't know what he is, but he certainly doesn't seem like a man or a a functioning, intelligent human being. He's a terrible Secretary of State. He's silly. He's like, I would imagine his counterparts look at him and say, where the hell did they find this fop? I mean, I don't know where they found him. But he seems to be afraid of his own shadow. And he was deeply involved in the Ukrainian criminality. It's right on the hard drive. In fact, it's one of the first things that John Paul MacIsaacs saw. So he calls up Morell and says, we need a letter that basically says this is Russian disinformation. That's the investigation. We need a letter that says it's Russian disinformation. Morell, I think Morell admits this. I'm not sure because I haven't seen the testimony and it just from the newspapers. But according to the newspapers, Morell is the ringleader. And he rounds up the other 50 disreputable, useless failures who are responsible for 20 or 25 years of the worst American intelligence that we've had. I mean, this would include Benghazi, not knowing about 9/11, things, And within a day, They all sign it. And they sign a letter saying it has the it has the earmarks of Russian disinformation. What did they do to verify that? Nothing. They were told to do it. They were told to do it by someone and by a campaign that they knew for 3 years had been lying about Russian disinformation. Had made up, by this point, they all knew that they had made up a false narrative that Donald Trump was in collusion with the Russians, that not only was it made up, it was paid for by Hillary Clinton in the Steele dossier. It was, first it was false negative political disinformation. Then it was used to try to frame the president and remove a lawfully elected president based on purchased false information. Everyone knew it at this point. So when they got a call, this wasn't like in just a vacuum of no information. They knew that this Russian thing had, been played out and paid for and dishonestly. They knew it had been investigated, and Mueller couldn't find any evidence. And they knew a lot more than that. I mean, Brennan and his cohort, who sometimes looks like he's disheveled and fallen apart. I mean, they knew it wasn't true. So then here's the giveaway. These are professionals, right? They say it contains the earmarks of Russian disinformation. It's a really important letter. It could affect an American election. You know how you know they're absolute liars? Because they don't mention a single earmark. What are these earmarks? What are they? I don't know. Was the hard drive in Russian? Not only do they say it's Russian disinformation, as you will hear from the liar in chief, they accuse me of being a Russian agent. Well, what's that based on? My service to the United States is a lot more distinguished than theirs. A lot more. I put my record up against every single one of them. I never got anybody killed like many of them did. I never delivered dramatically, unbelievably incompetent false information. In fact, all I ever did is put some of the most dangerous people of our generation in jail. There was no indication in any way that I was a Russian operative, except I was on the other side of a political campaign from them, and therefore they're entitled to call me a Russian agent, just like they're entitled to suspend my law license, and nobody does a damn thing about it. And I'm not complaining about me. People have gone through worse. I know you're going to think I just say this. I'm proud of it. I'm proud of what they're doing to me, because these are evil people. People who could sign a letter like that are evil people. Their ambition knows no bounds. Morell just said it straight out. Why'd you sign it? Why'd you do it? I wanted to elect Joe Biden. I don't know. Would you kill somebody? I mean, what that excuses? That excuses lying to the American people. So this set it up beautifully, because the debate was coming up, and Stumblebum would have no way of dealing with this unless somebody came up with some kind of a criminal plot for him to rely on in order to get around it. And so why don't we now get to? So this was put in the newspapers. This led to every newspaper except a few banning it. No one looked into it. No one asked what the earmarks are. I was banned from every station imaginable. No newspaper would take it. It took 5 days, 6 days to get the Post to do it. And I think if it wasn't for Miranda Devine, they wouldn't have done it. Now they're heroes for doing it, and God bless them. And I'm not sure of that. I mean, I'm not sure it was just Miranda at the Post, but I do know there was tremendous resistance, and the Wall Street Journal would have no part of it. We'll have no part of that. Wall Street Journal, much more important for the Wall Street Journal to be pure and acceptable. Necessarily don't have to be patriotic. They don't have to be right. They don't have to be like a really great newspaper. They're willing to be a mediocre newspaper in order to be acceptable because they are so much more intelligent than you are. Boy, the pretensions of these people are the reason this country is in the condition that it's in. Wall Street Journal should have published that thing in a minute. The way the Times and the Washington Post published the Pentagon Papers. Back then, they had more balls than the Wall Street Journal has. Now, of course, they're against Trump. Viciously against Trump. My goodness. Even the Post. I mean, the Post had a couple of days there where it looked like it was the DeSantis for president daily leaflet. What that Piers Morgan character wrote like 2 columns a day. That's a really credible guy, Piers Morgan. Wow. Well, we got the Post to write it. Okay, good. I'm glad. I'm glad the Post wrote it, and I take no credit away from them from doing it. And, you know, decisions like that are debatable, and all credit to them for doing it, because it did have an effect. It really made the election, it really won the election for Trump. It did, because 50% of the American people did get to find out about it, because Bannon and myself and a bunch of other people busted our watch to get it out. You know what we did? We knew we couldn't go on regular television. We knew we were living in the Soviet Union or East Berlin, so we went on local radio. I mean, I would do 50 radio shows a day. 50. I didn't have a voice left. But I got to Peoria, Illinois. I was even heard in East Palestine, I was told when I went there. And they know me there. You have no idea what I did, because I did it surreptitiously and behind their backs, and because they pay no attention to those places, because these people aren't really Americans. But we got it out, and by the time we got to the election, if I recall correctly, there was about a 50% recognition of it. So it did affect a lot of people, and it probably is the reason that shocking things happen, like Trump ahead in Pennsylvania by 800,000 votes. These crooks never expected to be ahead by 800,000 votes in Pennsylvania, which is why they had to fall over themselves using all the tricks they had learned over many years of being crooked Democratic politicians to steal. But let's look now at, so this is about 5 or 6 days after the hard drive first appears in the Post, about 3 days after the false letter was written and orchestrated by Biden. And this is Biden during his second and last debate with President Trump. And there was a good deal about this, and President Trump really nailed him on it. But I'm going to play this part because I just want to show you what a slimebag liar he is, and it has been all his life. Why are you surprised? Let's play it, Ted. How are we going to do this? Ted is the technological genius in this operation.
So this is President Biden during the.
No, this is candidate Biden, who was legally determined the president. The law said he was the president, so we have to accept it, and we do.
A situation where we have foreign countries trying to interfere in the outcome of our election. His own national security advisor told him that what is happening with his buddy, I will. His buddy, Rudy Giuliani, he's being used as a Russian pawn. He's being fed information that is Russian, that is not true. And then what happens? Nothing happens. And then you find out that everything that's going on here about Russia is wanting to make sure that I do not get elected the next president of the United States, because they know I know them and they know me.
It's coming in loud and clear.
These are people who paid Biden off to do this.
So we're back on the air.
These are I shouldn't say anything. These are probably Chinese headphones or something.
Thanks for joining us on America's
I don't want to
Mayor Live.
I may have to burn. If these are Chinese headphones, we'll have a burning ceremony. Okay, let's see if we can hear the liar in chief.
Should we play it again?
Yeah, I'd like to hear the liar in chief again.
A situation where we have foreign countries trying to interfere in the outcome of our election. His own national security advisor told him that what is happening with his buddy, I will. His buddy, Rudy Giuliani, he's being used as a Russian pawn. He's being fed information that is Russian, that is not true. And then what happens? Nothing happens. And then you find out that everything that's going on here about Russia is wanting to make sure that I do not get elected the next president of the United States because they know I know them and they know me.
Could I comment on the last part of that, Ted? Because even before I get to the personal one about me, the they know me is prophetic, isn't it? They know him, and therefore, a couple 100,000 Ukrainians are dead as a result of that. You proud of that show? Are you proud about the fact that you sold out America, got a couple 100,000 Ukrainians killed? Sure, they know you. They know you're a crook. They know you're a liar. They know you're a scumbag. They know you're a lousy father. They know you're an amoral man, and they know you're evil. That's what they know, and they know you're a damn coward. They sure know you, Joe, and they got everything on you. You think I got stuff on you? I got about a third of it, babes. Russians got everything. They know what an absolute decrepit human being you are. Yeah, they know you. And that's why they invaded Ukraine. Is there anybody in this country that would be willing to get on my show and tell me they would have invaded Ukraine if Trump were the president? Because I'll rip you apart. Because how about they would have? If they were going to do it, they would have, and they wouldn't have taken it so damn long. And you probably didn't watch it the way I did, or with the expertise that I had. But Putin played him out for about 3 months to make sure that he had He had him groveling. He had that piece of crap groveling. I won't use troops. I won't use troops. No. There won't be any troops. No troops. No troops on the ground. No boots on the ground. Don't worry, Vladimir. Don't worry, Vladimir. Yes. We'll do bad things to you, but no troops. They probably have recorded information that Blinken was like going in his pants. Or maybe Biden. Didn't Biden go in his pants with the Pope, Ted?
That's right, Mayor.
Well, is it right or is that a rumor? Do we know? We don't
know for a fact.
We don't know for a fact. The mere fact that when the Pope went like this, he went like this, is not an indication. I shouldn't laugh. This is too serious. Could we just now let's go back to the first part of it about his buddy Rudy Giuliani being a Russian. What I remember.
A situation where we have foreign countries trying to interfere in the outcome of our election. His own national security advisor told him that what is happening with his buddy, I will. His buddy, Rudy Giuliani, he's being used as a Russian pawn. He's being fed information that is Russian, that is not true.
I'm a pawn. I'm a Russian pawn. Now, I'm going to ask a question. Think that's defamation? What do you think? First of all, it's not true. Second, he knows it's not true. He at this point he knows about the hard drive. Not only does he know about the hard drive, they knew it was Hunter's hard drive. They were never in a state of confusion. You know, his Hunter's lawyer called up John Mac Isaacs and asked him at that night or the night before it was going to be published by the Post, when it hit the news that something to be published. He called and he asked, what a jackass he is. He said, "Can we have Hunter's laptop back?" You want a verification? His lawyer verified it. Well, yeah, I mean, Dopey had to know that. And I don't think it's a defense to defamation, the civil case defamation, that you're insane or stupid or have half a brain. I mean, maybe they'll use insanity as a defense to defamation. That would be really interesting. I wonder if you did an X-ray of his brain, how many cells you'd find left there. I don't know. I've never seen an X-ray of the brain. I mean, can you see missing cells?
Should we play our commercial, Mayor?
Sure, absolutely. Faith and family, freedom and finance are 4 things that we would do anything to protect. I trust the team at Kirk Elliott, PhD, Private Advisors, with providing the advice and sound strategies to take advantage of the inflationary pressures, the high interest rates, and the international challenges we face today. The Kirk Elliott team, with over 29 years of experience, shares our values and believes in people over profit. They can help you protect your finances from the big government policies that are out of our control. So what's in our control? The decision to act or not to act is within our control. I encourage you to act. Call Kirk Elliott, PhD, Private Advisors today. Start working with a team that will help you protect your retirement assets with gold and silver while sharing your desire to protect your faith, family, and freedom. Call them today, 720-605-3900. That's 720-605-3900, and tell them Rudy sent you. Or simply fill out a request for a free consultation at kirkelliottphd.com/Rudy. Well, welcome back. And I was talking to the people on Getter, and I was saying, would you ever have believed, I would not, that it was this bad? Even after I thought I saw everything with September 11 and, prosecuted every manner of criminal imaginable, there's something specially evil about these people to do this to this country. To fix an election. Now, okay, maybe you don't buy the stolen election at the ballot box, although I think they should stop persecuting people who believe that, because there's enough evidence for a reasonable person to come to that conclusion, by the way. And just the way they fixed everything else, you don't think they fixed that? I mean, it'd almost be kind of strange if they didn't fix the election. They did everything they could to destroy this man. Why wouldn't they cheat at the ballot box? Democrats have been cheating at the ballot box for 150 years. And they didn't do it all. Not all Democrats, but Democrats from the big cities. One of the points I tried to make was their stealing was confined to the cities that are corrupt. The cities that really are like little Soviet empires now. New York, they didn't need to cheat, but they could have. New York, Philadelphia, Detroit. Did I mention Philadelphia? They didn't need Boston. But, Boston. Atlanta. Atlanta's a new city, but it could be more crooked than all the rest of them. Boy, they had cities they could have used. They didn't have to. I mean, they could have used Los Angeles and San Francisco. Man, they're doing a job on Houston with this Soros DA there. They're ruining Houston. Ruining it. They've destroyed Austin, Texas. Destroyed it. Philadelphia's gone 2 years in a row of record homicides. People we know in Philadelphia are scared out of their minds living there, right, Ted?
That's right. Our friend Megan, who we've had on the show.
Megan, we've had on the show, but I mean, we should probably try to get more people on. I mean, Megan is really just reflecting what we must have heard from, I don't know, I'm going to try to give you not an exaggerated number, like probably 20 people from Philadelphia.
That's right, Mayor.
When people come up to me in airports and tell me, you know where I get it a lot in airports? Seattle and Portland. I don't know why. Seattle and Portland. People just come up to me and think I'm the repository of information about crime. And they come up and tell me, Mayor, can you give me some advice? Portland has just become a totally different city. Seattle's become a totally different
that's
city.
why. That's a big reason.
Los
why.
Angeles too.
I mean, those are places in the last 10 years, right,
Los
Mayor?
Angeles too.
And people think of you, and they know what you did in a very high-profile example, maybe the highest-profile example of turning a city around, especially when it comes to crime. And so I think you are widely known, obviously, for 9/11, but beyond that.
It's interesting. I think that the crime epidemic revived that. It certainly did in New York. I'm much more popular in New York now than I was 2 years ago or 3 years ago, because I was very popular after September 11. And then, of course, I supported Trump. And even some of my friends, say I became a different person, a different this, a different that. No, they did. I'm me. I supported Trump because I saw something in him that America needed. And I mean, I've been justified in that 100 times over, just recently in going to New Palestine. I mean, those people aren't represented by the Democrats or by the Republican snobs. We saw Buttigieg look like, oh my God, I don't want to go near these people. I mean, I don't know where Biden finds such really incompetent, inept people. I mean, it's like if it weren't so serious, it'd be like the Ringling Brothers Barnum and Bailey circus. It's one clown after another. Miley's the head of the Joint Chiefs of Staff is a complete freaking clown. The guy says it wasn't that the Bagram Air Base wasn't strategic. 400 miles from China. That's not strategic. I mean, what kind of war does he want to fight with horses? We fight them now with planes and rockets. Proximity is enormously strategic. I don't know if you're just a big fat liar or you're. And I don't care about all your medals and all your. I mean, Benedict Arnold had a lot of medals too. When the minute you said that you'd call China and warn them, I figured there's a chance you're not working for us. And when you tell me that Bagram is not strategic, I got to figure you definitely work. I don't know who you're working. You're not working for us, or you're so damn stupid that you should be put somewhere where you should be put in the same place as Mayorkas is sent. Okay.
All right, Mayor, let's take our first call. And we're taking our first call in Israel. Could you give us your name?
Hello, Ted, and hello, Mayor Giuliani. This is Joel.
Oh, hi, Joel.
Calling from Israel. Hello, all your. I'm fine, thanks, Mr. Mayor. How are you tonight?
Good. How are you?
I'm fine. I'm so happy that the truth is coming out now like wildfire. Although, these are things that are 4 years old already.
Isn't it amazing?
It's amazing. How does it feel, first of all, that you knew things 4 years ago that hundreds of millions of people are just learning about now, at least tens of millions of people probably in the last 2 weeks?
It's a mix.
Is that frustrating?
Yeah, sure. It's frustrating. It's frustrating particularly because I can see the damage done by Biden, which is extraordinary. I think of the people that are dead that wouldn't be dead had he not been elected president. So whatever your feelings about Ukraine war, whether you're for it, against it, or in the middle, those people in Ukraine to be alive today had he not been elected. And there's no doubt that Putin would not have invaded with Trump in the White House. I don't think he would have invaded with a normal president in the White House. But he certainly.
In 2019, there was a private investigator that put those there. And I just wanted to update your listeners about what's taking place on Hunter Biden's docket in Arkansas.
Go ahead.
Because he has, so there's a scheduling order. about a month and a half ago, the judge supervising that case said that the mother of the child has, of course, discovery rights, and the judge put that under protective order. And the judge was very harsh with Hunter Biden and his lawyer, saying that she would not tolerate further delays because he has shown a pattern of delays for the last 2 or 3 years. Earlier today, this morning, the plaintiff's team, London Roberts and her attorneys, Lancasters, they did a filing that said that they were stalling again, and they asked Hunter Biden to be incarcerated. Daily Mail, as they often do, they follow that docket very carefully.
Oh my!
So
I didn't get
a
it.
nice
Thank you,
article.
Joel. I didn't even know about this.
Yeah, I sent it to Bob this morning, and so he has a copy of it. And she has the ability, in some ways, to save the country, but I mean, she can't share anything. But it's interesting because the judge said if Congress would subpoena those records, which he's not preferring, he's not giving them. I mean, of course, at least as of today, they have 2 or 3 weeks left to get them to her team. If Congress would subpoena those records that they're also trying to get, Judge Holly Myers would have the ability to say no to Congress, or she would at least have the ability to review the subpoenas before any documents were to be turned over. And those documents hold the key. So
tell me what.
Thank you.
Describe the document. What do you believe is in the documents?
Well, they're finding it from all the evidence now. With they covered up the 160 suspicious activity reports.
Yep, right, which is extraordinary. I mean,
everything is going to corroborate.
Yeah. I'm sure of that.
Just want to say one thing. At the beginning of Joe Biden's administration, he said something very telling. People can go back and find these archives, and maybe they'll start to show up on Fox. He said, I can't believe he said this. He said, some people think I'm the Antichrist. And he also said, some people are shameless. Of course, once again, he was projecting and talking about himself.
At the very
But
beginning,
he has a way of doing things.
Joel, you may remember this. At the very beginning of his career, I'm talking about when he was 30 years old or so, and he got elected. He said something about being a fraud or taking bribes or kind of joking. I got to go find that clip. It's really quite revealing. And of course, he began taking bribes right away. Little ones, cheap little ones with his brothers. I mean, this guy went from being, a trailer trash, little conniving jerk taking bits and pieces here and there with his brothers to being a massive international crook. I mean, he's dopey as hell, but he's made a fortune. He's made a fortune. I guess if you're crooked, you can do it, right? Well, Joel has been with me for some time now. I feel like he's a friend, and he is a friend. And I first or second time he called, I think it was on my Sunday show. Dr. Maria and I named him our Israeli correspondent. Quite a remarkable guy. People on my radio show know him well. He's almost like a regular. So I hope you get to know him here on this show, because you'll find, as we move on to other things, he's got quite a bit of knowledge about the Middle East, about Israel. I believe he's Jewish, but he's quite knowledgeable about Christianity and has great respect for it, as I have great respect for Judaism. He's an extraordinary guy. We got to get to call this show. I think he called once, Jimmy.
We'll get Jimmy to call, but now we want to go to Tennessee.
So Tennessee's really been in the news. I mean, my.
You are on with the mayor. Hello?
Hello.
Yes, you're on with Rudy Giuliani. How are you?
I am so blessed, and I'm so glad I got through. Mayor Giuliani,
Yes, ma'am.
you were mayor when I lived in Manhattan. You rock. I love you. You're in my prayers every day. Got lots of people in Tennessee praying for you.
Thank you.
We just would like to know why you're not running with President Trump as vice president.
I'm running, but I have a bad knee, so I can't run too fast. But no, I'm believe me, I'm best off doing what I'm doing what I'm doing, and I'm feeling pretty darn good about our being vindicated. You know, I talked to the president today. Ted and I are going to see him tomorrow and hopefully over the weekend, a good deal. And he loves to tell people, I don't think he'd mind my saying this because he says it publicly. Whenever we're in public, he loves to tell people, you know, Rudy was right about everything.
Oh,
and I think that's so nice.
I
point out, well, you were too, my friend. But I mean, he says, but yeah, you were the one who came out with it, and you were right about everything, right from the beginning. With right way back 4 years ago when you said that Biden was involved in the bribery, and nobody believed you, and you've really been vindicated.
You hear me loud. You guys have met so much opposition, and the adversary doesn't like y'all, and you know this because you speak truth. You love the American people. You're good family men, and people love you, and they are jealous. And don't you ever stop. And my prayer for you, Mayor, is many, many more years to come.
So
many blessings
my
for
dear,
you and your family.
Could you tell us where you are in Tennessee? Because Tennessee has had a rough time the last month. Where are you?
Yes, sir. I'm right in the heart of Nashville. We've been right in the middle of it.
And why? Do you find it very, very suspicious and very annoying that they won't release that whole group of papers from this murder?
Yeah, I do. But you know what? I'm going to tell you something about our judicial system down here.
Yeah.
You got, it's very divided. You've got to realize Nashville is a Democratic city, believe it or not.
Yeah, I do know that.
And outside of Nashville, you got a lot of Republicans. So you got a mixture, and you got the Republicans and the Democrats going head to head. That's why you're seeing what you're seeing.
And does it affect the courts?
Yes, it does.
Yeah,
yes,
you know,
it does.
You know, that's what I would try to tell people about the election cases. They did their cheating in places they own. And if they had done their cheating uniformly throughout America, we would have beaten them in a fair court. But in Philadelphia, you don't have a chance against a Democrat. I mean, it's a joke. And the same thing is true in New York. Our Supreme Court justices get on the bench because they're approved by the Democratic leader of the county. They're not approved by, you know, and then the Bar Association is just a suck up to them. So basically, they own the court system. And when you look at some of the opinions that were totally nuts, like the opinion in Pennsylvania, you get an idea of how corrupt they are. But thank you. And thank you for calling, and give my love to everybody in Nashville. My heart goes out to them. And when Biden...
Republicans want to do what's right for Tennessee, but every time we get something pushed through, the Democrats come in and boom. Do you know who they blame for them poor babies getting shot in that school, that Christian school? They blamed the Christians. Because
did they pull the trigger? I mean, the Christians pulled the trigger? I think somebody pulled the trigger, huh? I think somebody. Exactly. I think there's one person who pulled the trigger, and I think we know. I think we know the problem that person had, and I think we know why they're hiding the information. And I mean, they can't fool me, sweetheart. I know what crooks they are. I know what crooks they are, and I had that one. I had that one figured out about 2 hours after it happened.
Well, I'm a minister down here. I've been in ministries almost 16 years.
God bless you.
And
you pray for us.
I can tell you, not all black people are Democrats.
I know that.
I'm a white female in an all-black church, and I can tell you right now, my church family are lovely people. And by the way, one of our church ministers, one of my colleagues, it was her dad, Mr. Hill, that was shot in the midst of all of that. And they blamed them poor people that were killed because she was misunderstood. And I called the news because they kept calling her a him. And I corrected them. And I said, let me tell you something. That is not a him. That is a girl. And all of these pronouns and all this crap, you wonder why our kids are so screwed up. This is the Bible Belt. And you got more Christians in this state than you have anything else. And we're not tolerating it.
Well,
you
thank
need
you.
to call it like it is.
Well, thank you, because we have got to get back to reality. We've got to get back to decency. They're trying to destroy this country and make it a communist country, but we're going to fight them and we're going to win. And we're going to win because God's going to help us with people like you. God bless you. Isn't that
You
wonderful?
too, Mayor Giuliani. We love you. You're in our prayers.
Isn't that wonderful to hear from her? Isn't that refreshing? That is really, really refreshing to hear someone like that still has that strong American feeling. You know, you wonder, God forbid, if we have to go to war, who's going to fight for us? I mean, it sure as hell isn't going to be Miley and the woke Secretary of Defense. And I mean, they worried about us.
Well, he's very.
Are we going to like have a
chest? You ever see Milley's everything he's accomplished in the military? He's got a.
I don't know. I don't know what he accomplished, but the moment he said he was going to warn China, they should have ripped them all off his chest.
But he's got 100 badges on his. You ever see it?
Yeah. Well, he's, I'm sure he's a really important guy in his own mind, for sure. He sure is a jackass, though. I mean, that's the best thing you could say about him. He's a major jackass. Bagram is not strategic. An air base 400 miles from your biggest enemy is not strategic. Now, he must think we're stupid, but we're not. He is. But in any event, I think it's wonderful that we have people.
That was a very nice call.
I really think it's wonderful because Tennessee has been through Taiwan invasion before November 2024. Abel Windsor, I don't know if that's the name or the name for Fetterman will save us. Not Fetterman. And I am not making fun of a disabled man. The man shouldn't be in the Senate. It's outrageous that he's in the Senate. When you can't talk or think, you shouldn't be in the Senate. Just like Mr. Numbnut should not be in the White House. That's outrageous that Fetterman was elected. Outrageous.
Well, we've had
before he was sick, he was sick. He was a horrible mayor. Horrible. Go talk to the people in the town. Lazy, useless, lived with his parents, dresses like a bum, and can't talk. Look, if you can't talk, I feel sorry for you. But you don't get elected to the Senate if about the only thing you do in the Senate is talk. I mean, and well,
thanks for joining us. Comment below.
Dr.
Your
Oz should
location
have
and where
won.
you're tuning
Boy,
in
that's
from.
that. Somebody said Dr. Oz should have won. He stays high on THC. I'm sorry,
That's weird.
Mr. Rudy, you're on a roll today at Sherry Ann Mastras.
She's tuning in on Facebook.
CT says Fetterman stays high on THC.
Do you know what THC is?
I don't.
THC is marijuana, weed. It's the technical term. I'd have to.
Oh, really? I never saw that before.
You've never seen. So it's
marijuana. I mean, I guess I should know we're going to be like the marijuana capital. Adams is really, really happy about this. That he actually gave marijuana to somebody on television the other night. And I still think that marijuana possession is a federal crime. I think it is. I don't remember the federal government removing the statute. Now, I know they don't prosecute it, but they don't prosecute the stuff they're prosecuting Trump for, except Trump. So why hasn't Adams been arrested for on national television violating federal law? Let me see if I can find that. No, I had it. I had that. I had that silly thing, and now
Speaking of THC, do we
did they
want to
send me? Did they send me those?
I
number-
did. Yeah, they should have sent to your Truth and Justice email. If not, we have the Kamala Harris clip.
Well, what I want is the Adams clip.
Do not have that.
Adams offers marijuana to somebody on a national show. I'm going to see if I can find it here. I just think they should put him in jail. I mean, there's a lot of room. Everybody's been let out of. I mean, all the there are about 7,000 violent criminals walking the streets that wouldn't be if I were the mayor. So there's lots of room at Rikers Island. Not that place, you know.
For violent criminals, you're talking.
Wait. Here it is. It's Ted and I are now having an inside baseball talk, but Ted, it was the last list, you know, the Curtis list, and on the list it says here, because I don't want to get this wrong. God forbid I would, you know, say something wrong about Mayor Adams, who actually now has a city with more crime than de Blasio. And he likes to say that the city is safe. So weren't they going to send us this?
Yes, I don't have it. Check yours.
But where would I have it?
Truth and Justice email. Thanks for joining us, America's Mayor Live, here as we are closing
Well, I'm looking for it.
on the top of the hour on a very busy Friday night.
I'm looking for it. I don't see it.
Well, where was it him speaking? I'm trying to find it on my own now. When did this happen? Yesterday? Today?
Yeah, it was on the list. Yeah. It was a radio show he was on. Drink whatever beer you want. They have the here it is. Gives Stephen Colbert marijuana. He gives Stephen Colbert marijuana. Sounds like you get both of them. Colbert could use a couple of days in jail. He's a big liar. Anti-American, American hater. Liar, creep. Yeah, I am positive it's a violation of federal law. I don't know. I mean, seems to me, what's that? What do the Democrats always say? Nobody is above the law. Not even you, Adams and Colbert. Do you think violating federal law and trading around marijuana is more serious than entering something incorrect in the books and records of your company that no one's been prosecuted for in 100 years? Which do you think is more serious? Think it's about the same? Okay. Then if we have equal application of the law, somebody should go lock them up. Go lock them up. Come on, Bragg. You're a tough guy. How come you haven't arrested the mayor for dealing in marijuana? I'm sorry I can't find this thing. The radio station was supposed to send it to me, and they didn't. But we'll get it. We'll get it for next week. I'll play it on Sunday on my radio show on WABCRadio.com. I'll play you the clip, and then we'll play it on the show on Monday night. We'll show you the Colbert. We'll show you them committing a federal crime.
Thank you for joining us. A very busy news week.
Go ahead, Ted. I'm just going to check one place. I may get lucky here in.
Maybe we show folks the rocket launch. We have that video.
Yeah, show them the rocket launch.
We'll play that while we're waiting here.
You know, and I do agree that you remember this happened a lot in the early days of space exploration, where we lost some rocket, we even lost people. So this unfortunately, this is the way you get there, by trial and error.
that everything after clearing the tower was icing on the cake.
So we'll play that one more time. Look, the big goal of today's of the launch was to get it off the pad, so it wasn't necessarily a failure. Let's play it again.
Yeah, and they'll learn a lot.
One that everything after clearing the tower was icing on the cake.
Thanks for joining us. We are now in soccer time on the end of a very busy news week.
Well, here it is. Except in very rare circumstances at the federal level, marijuana and marijuana products are illegal and subject to criminal law enforcement through the Drug Enforcement Administration. Article 6, paragraph 2 of the U.S. Constitution is commonly referred to as the Supremacy Clause. It establishes that the federal constitution and federal law take precedence over state laws, even state constitutions.
Well, Mayor, do you have a message for our viewers going into the weekend?
Yeah, don't use marijuana. It's a violation of federal law, and also you might not lose your brain like a lot of the people you can see. Like a lot of these Democrats may very well be weak-minded because they smoke so much marijuana. It may have affected their brain cells. And now this idiot who runs New York is all happy that marijuana is legal. I want you to just think about this for a minute. Marijuana is now legal in New York. You can go around, smoke it, do anything you want with it. There are 4 places you can get it legally, and about 1,200 where you can get it illegally because of the ineptitude of our mayor, our governor, and generally the Democrats in our city who just spend money recklessly, illegally, crookedly, and do nothing for the people. The budget of the state of New York is more than twice the budget of Florida, and Florida has 2 million more people. The budget of Adams, New York is bigger than the budget of Florida, and Florida has 12 million more people. And Adams can't seem to get the kids through school, can't seem to get crime down. It's up 27% since de Blasio was mayor. He's going around encouraging people to use marijuana because we're going to collect a lot of taxes on marijuana. 1,300 illegal marijuana shops and 7 legal. He can't do arithmetic. I wonder if Adams is a product of one of those brainwashed public schools. We'll have to find out. But here's the statute. Possession of marijuana is a crime. Distributing it, which is what he did when he gave it to him, is a felony. I don't know if you can be mayor while you're in jail. Why isn't Adams being prosecuted? Is he above the law? Why isn't Colbert? Colbert accepted it. Well, of course, I actually don't think people should be prosecuted federally for just mere possession of marijuana. I don't think people should use marijuana. And I think people who distribute marijuana should go to jail for a long time. And I think that marijuana is extremely dangerous to your brain. I think it deteriorates it over a period of time. I think there's no doubt that it makes it more difficult for you to drive and do other things. We have no idea of how to police that and monitor that. Places that have broadly decriminalized marijuana have seen an increase in accidents and vehicular deaths. And we've got by the way, we've got an epidemic of vehicular homicide in New York because we don't prosecute people anymore for drunk driving. That's another one of Bragg's areas where you're just allowed. In fact, we had somebody that just died, just killed somebody who had been let out after 2 different drunk driving situations. No. The streets, walking the streets of the city are pretty damn dangerous. Bragg has got all kinds of drunks driving now. And Adams doesn't do a damn thing about it and wants to add to it the people who are using marijuana. Do I have any final thoughts for the weekend? The final thoughts I have for the weekend are to educate yourself and help educate your children. Take over the responsibility to some extent if you have children in school for educating your children. If you like history, if you like math, if you like English literature, if you like American literature, if you like music, take over the role of teaching them that. Do some homeschooling with them. It'll get you closer to them. It'll help them because the education system in this country, with exceptions, is pathetic. Even the private schools in New York are a disaster. I mean, a lot of them are indoctrination mills for Marxism. And people are paying like $60,000 to have their kids learn how to be Marxists. So get much more involved in your child's education. And if you have grandchildren or friends' children, and your friends want your help, they don't feel you're interfering, and get involved in this movement so parents can once again be reestablished as the true guardians of their children and not the state. I mean, I don't know if we realized what was happening when we had the government take over more and more of education. I think we thought of it as the experts were going to have more to do with education. And in an ideal world, that would have been fine. I don't think we realized that was a subterfuge for what Marx wanted, what Engels wanted, what Mao wanted, what Stalin wanted, what Hitler wanted, which is to get control of those kids nice and early and brainwash them. That's what it was. And the teachers union has been an operative of the Communist Party for a long, long time. And boy, did they do a job on our kids with the pandemic. Did they do a job on our kids? Oh. So have a great weekend. Please go to rudygiulianics.com and would you do me a favor and register?
What's the CS stand for?
Common sense. Register. This way we can be in we'll have your email. We will not bother you. We will just send you things that we think are, I'm not going to be bothering you for money or stuff like that. It's for free, but we'll send you information we think you need. And we think it's going to become more and more important that we get that list nice and big and we have a really coherent organization as we start to move into 2024. You realize how important it is that we win in 2024. We got to stick together. Like the people who are calling, and we get a lot of people on this show. Anywhere from just on Twitter alone, like 70 or 80,000 to 150,000, just on Twitter. And by the time we're finished with everybody watching it, over the next day or two, we often go well over 200,000. So we're doing better than Newsmax. And my friend Chris Ruddy is not going to like that, but hey, we're getting the message out, Chris. However we get it out, try to keep free speech alive in our country. I respect what Chris does, and I respect what John Catsimatidis, who runs WABC, where I have the honor of being able to have a show every day. And I respect all of you that want to educate yourselves and find out what's going on. And we work really, really hard at this to try to get you the information that's being kept from you because I never thought I'd live in a country like this. And we're not going to be a country like this for long. We're going to change it, you and I. Rudy Giuliani, CS.com. Hit subscribe. Sunday, 10 o'clock, WABCradio.com. Monday, 3 o'clock, WABCradio.com. And then on Monday night, right back here, I don't know what you're watching us on. Twitter, YouTube, Getter. Hi, Getter.
Facebook,
Facebook,
Rumble,
Rumble.
Twitch.
I think that's it. Probably missing one. Don't feel bad. Okay. God bless you. God bless America. Have a great weekend.